The day of great reckoning is almost here, guys, because from Ross Vandermeer, they will send it all to zero. Very few will survive. Prepare. Why? Check this out. Justin, President Biden says he won't agree to a debt deal that protects crypto traders, right? So what do we see right here, guys? So will they just default, right, with this in U.S. national debt matter and whatnot? What was it, 31 trillion dollars, guys? Right? Of course they're going to raise the debt ceiling, guys, right? But it's weird to say that Biden is saying he won't agree to a debt deal that protects crypto traders. It's odd, and this is really fishy, guys. Why? Because we told you from a long time ago that these people right here do not want you to become rich and wealthy, right? And they know that digital assets, cryptocurrencies, will make the retail people, we the people, financially free, right? Because this is the greatest wealth transfer in all of history, right? So do we see what's about to happen? Because the only reason is because we're stepping into a new financial system altogether, guys, and a few will be integrated into that new system, right? But it's weird because they don't want you to be invested into those coins, guys. But that isn't financial vice. This isn't financial vice, and this isn't financial vice. At the same time, so are they trying to default then? Because 1862 default caused by the Treasury's financial difficulties trying to pay for the Civil War. 1933 default by the United States government on its gold bonds. 1968 default by refusing to honor its explicit promise to redeem its silver certificate paper dollars for silver dollars. 1971 default breaking of the United States government's commitment to redeem dollars held by foreign governments for gold under the Bretton Woods Agreement. And then 2023 loading in progress, right? So another default is coming, guys, right? And this is going to be what? Caused by the US national debt, which is above $30 trillion, guys, right? There's no way in hell they're going to pay that back. Let's just be realistic. And when that does finally implode, the debt market, you know what that means? That's literally when the collapse occurs. The United States Treasury has $57 billion in cash on hand, while the government carries $31 trillion in debt, right? Look at the comparison right here, guys. That's the equivalent of an average person having $1,000 in cash on hand and basically over $500,000 in debts, guys. Scary, right? It definitely is. Not to worry, guys. They're just going to keep printing more and more and more, right? It's just going to get bad for the whole financial system until it literally implodes, right? Now, if you go down here, people are saying we can't let these older age people control the fate of crypto, right? So basically we need new regulators, right? Possibly even a new president, you guys already know, not to mention new laws, new regulations, because this is a modern technology, right? Crypto is dangerous, but no one talks about the trillions of dollars the Pentagon has lost, right? Quote unquote lost, actually. After 1600 auditors combed Dodd's $3.5 trillion in assets, officials found that the department couldn't account for 61% of its assets, guys, right? A lot of shady stuff is happening, but they say crypto is dangerous. Now, check this out, though. It's going to get really interesting here, guys. Before we talk about the article now from Crypto Wendy, the difference between Joe Biden and crypto traders is our crypto assets can be tracked. Think about this: all of his and their money laundering and acceptance of fiat currency from bad people cannot, right? Vote for who is pro crypto and not a liar, guys. Hold on a minute, right? Maybe the reason why they hate cryptocurrency so much is why? Because it's all transparent, right? The ledgers that never sleep. Think about this, though. This is a double-edged sword. Why? Because if the future, everything can be tracked, guys, right? With blockchain technology, there are pros. Why? Because we could see what they're doing behind the scenes. At the same time, they could see and possibly control your daily lives, right? Think about that for just a moment, guys. A double-edged sword. But it will tie into this tweet. Breaking! IRS to implement Know Your Customer KYC requirements for all cryptocurrency exchanges in 2023. You don't say, guys? There we go. We just got confirmed. You cannot make any of this stuff up. America will literally force all these crypto exchanges to implement KYC, right, for the clients and customers that are going to be transacting with cryptocurrencies on their exchange and whatnot, guys, right? This is perhaps why we need more decentralized exchanges, guys, right? Such as the XRP ADDRESS, right? Now, again, this is where the world is heading towards, guys. We told you guys from a long time ago, right? It's all going to be centralized. But back to this topic on hand. President Biden says he won't agree to that deal protecting crypto traders. So let's check this out. So President Biden recently spoke about crypto during his speech at the G7 summit about budget negotiations. He stated that before he left for the summit trip, he had met with all 4 congressional leaders. Biden also stated that they came to an agreement that the only way to move forward is through a bipartisan agreement. Additionally, he stressed that he has done his part by laying down a proposal that cuts spending by over $1 trillion. That isn't enough, guys. Speaking of other proposals, Biden stated that many of them are quite unacceptable. According to the video let out by Sky News, Biden spoke about cryptocurrency, stating, "I'm not going to agree to a deal that protects wealthy tax cheats and crypto traders while putting food assistance at risk." And then the statement comes from Biden at a time when there is increased scrutiny of the cryptocurrency realm by United States regulators. The statement is a clear indication that there won't be a dead deal that protects crypto investors in the country. Additionally, he also said he wouldn't agree to a $30 billion tax break for the oil industry. He spoke about the $200 billion that they made last year, stating that they don't need the $30 billion incentive while putting the lives of 21 million Americans at risk. Now, this is all a narrative, guys. Check this out. This is the source right here.
I'm not going to agree to a deal that protects wealthy tax cheats and crypto traders while putting food assistance at risk for nearly 1 million Americans. It's time for Republicans to accept that there is no bipartisan deal to be made solely on their partisan terms.
So he wants to stick it to those crypto traders, even if it means defaulting on the country's debt, right? I don't know, guys. I don't think they're going to default right now. I mean, if they do, it's going to be great. Why? Because let's just get the show on the road, right? Let's let it rip already, instead of making people suffer more and more and more until one day it actually finally implodes, right? But it can happen, honestly, in less than 2 weeks. Why? Because check out the SEC case about to conclude, different systems going live and whatnot. ISO ramping up as well. Let's pay attention. It's really weird. Why? Because McCarthy, Biden's position in debt limit talks has shifted. McCarthy, seems Biden wants to default more than he wants a deal. Wow, so Biden, again, we told you, they all want to default, guys. They want this financial system. That's their whole goal at the end of the day. That's their end goal, right? Of course they do. But it's really weird because Mr. Poole did warn us possibly a long time ago. Planned. Why? Senators have a deal on the crypto amendment and Treasury won't oppose it. Right? Check this out. An amendment that would limit a proposal to increase federal regulations of cryptocurrency. Again, it's all about regulations or imminence, guys. 99% of these coins will die. Was blocked Monday afternoon. Look at this, guys. The defeat of crypto amendment came hours after the Treasury Department said it will not oppose a bipartisan agreement that limits a proposal into increase federal regulation of cryptocurrencies. Think about that, guys. To increase federal regulations of cryptocurrencies, guys, right? It's all about this. This is what's about to be incoming, and we were prepared a long time ago. Last but not least, Deutsche Bank model 100% chance of recession, right? This ties in with the debt talk right here that the world is about to collapse, guys. Listen to this because they're warning you that's 100% going to happen. Not recession, but a great depression, guys. Listen to this.
Report that looks at 200. A few days ago, Deutsche Bank came out with a new report that looks at 200 years of US data and concludes that we are in for a very severe recession with a, quote, 100% probability. So can we turn this thing around? Now, Deutsche leads with the important detail that not only are banks crashing on the biggest scale since the 1930s, the US money supply is also shrinking at the fastest scale since the 1930s. Of course, one major difference is that in the 1930s, we did not have nearly the levels of government debt that we have today. In fact, the federal debt was under 20% of GDP going into the Depression. Today, it is over 100% of GDP, and according to Congress's own number crunchers, is on its way to 200%. That both drains resources out of the economy, and it is supporting the higher tax rates that shift resources from the private sector that could help us recover from the economy and over to the deadweight black hole that is government spending. Now, the one strand of hope might be that policymakers are not as dumb as they were in the 1930s, when both parties united to destroy the economy with central planning instead of the natural mechanisms that economies use to fix themselves. Sadly, given the Biden administration's boneheaded decisions over the past 2 years, from energy to spending to equity, if anything, policymakers are probably stupider. In their report, Deutsche was especially worried about real estate, both commercial, which is threatening to crash, and residential, which has now turned in its biggest drop since the 2008 crisis. They piled on with some rough numbers from Conference Board on the economy, falling household savings, rising consumer credit, and banks that are not lending. Finally, Deutsche notes what every school of economics knows, yes, even the Keynesians, which is that interest rate hikes on the scale of these past few years lead every time to severe recession, if not depression. By the way, this has been the pattern for literally centuries, ever since central bankers took control of the single most important price in the economy, the price of time, also known as the interest rate. Yet it has so far escaped the notice of Jay Powell, Janet Yellen, and the other tens of thousands of PhDs we pay, in theory, to understand the economy. So is there a way out? The solution, of course, is staring us right in the face with the debt ceiling, but it almost certainly will not happen. Because if you immediately slash government spending by letting the debt ceiling ban future deficits, that would immediately pull inflation back down. Once it's falling on its own, the Fed no longer needs to try and crash the economy on purpose. That means the Fed could actually start cutting rates to a level that lets the economy recover gradually, rather than doing what it's now doing, which is steamrolling everything in sight, good and bad. If that was combined, now this is pure fantasy, but if that was combined with less government spending, perhaps by laying off the army of regulators we also pay to crush small business, we could actually get an entrepreneurial revival that could pull us out of the tailspin. Now, this is all simple on paper. It is, of course, impossible in practice because we are ruled by a predatory elite who has no idea how business works, little idea how an economy works, and not the slightest interest in learning. Okay, we'll be watching. See you next time.
Well, the reason why they don't have any idea how the economy works is because they're the ones planning on doing everything, right? They just act dumb because that's the only way to collapse the economy, guys, right? They could save if they do wish to, but I mean, can they? I think it's too deep at this point, guys, right? I don't think they could save it because they have let this hole get bigger and bigger, guys, and it's been happening for a long time now. So the finale is the implosion. Let's prepare because time is near. Not financial advice. But it was such amazing. See ya.